Un, deux, trois.
Bonjour et welcome avec de l'anglais et le Bible.
If you're still listening, you're a saint. Today is day 201. If you have any idea, I don't know what's going on. It's Proverbs verse 20, Proverbs chapter, you know what, let's just do this again, mate.
Honestly, I quite like it. Bonjour and welcome to the Bible in 1 Year podcast, brought to you by two Brits and a Bible. If you like the idea of a casual yet meaningful chat about the Bible with a couple of mates, listen in. Something here could be good for you.
Today is day 201, covering Proverbs 22 and 23. If you need a brief overview of those chapters, they are in the description. Yeah, so 3 bites of the old cherry there. That was fun. So, we talk sometimes about behind the scenes or like pre-recording. So for this final recording of this batch we're doing, I decided to do French, trois, deux, un, for Adam. So then he tried to do the intro in French, which he doesn't speak fluent French. So it came out a bit interesting. And then we had to re-record and, it didn't quite work. And then here we go, third time's the charm.
Absolutely. And then I started sweating because I felt uncomfortable and the room's hot. And so now I'm this like sweaty mess. And anyway, carry on, Sam. You're first up today, aren't you?
Love that. Proverbs 22 verse 1. A good name is more desirable than great riches. To be esteemed is better than silver or gold. Money can't buy your reputation, right? But this also bounces off of something that you said yesterday, Ads, which I think was really good, which was about how you shouldn't be seeking gold and silver and rubies and all that stuff. You should be seeking knowledge and wisdom. And there's more wisdom potentially in speaking to someone wise or someone generation up before you than going out and trying to earn a few bucks or whatever. So I just think, these solid things, wisdom, reputation, discernment, love of God, obviously at the top of that list, they're better than money. Money is almost in some ways a bit of a tool of the devil, really, because if you get too obsessed with it, then, you end up on the path to death more than the path to life.
Very true. It reminds me of I mentioned a Pitbull quote the other day, like a couple of months ago, maybe now, that was like, people say money can't buy happiness. And it's not true. Money can buy happiness, just only when it's given away, which kind of feeds into what you're saying there. If your sole purpose for seeking money is to build your own fortune and your own wealth, that's the issue. If you're building it for the pure fact of the more I earn, the more I can give away and bless other people, it just sort of shifts that mindset a little bit. And there's, again, balances across the board with good and bad. So yes,
absolutely.
We both have 22:6, so I'll crack on, seeing as you did the last one, and you have another one after that. So start children off on the way they should go, and even when they're old, they will not turn from it. And I realized that I have this highlighted a couple of times, and it's just like, make God the center of everything that we do. Praying together, it needs to be 24/7, not just on a Sunday. And I realized that I grew up in a very Christian home, but like looking back, it was never really like a constant discussion. It was always very obvious and very visual, and we were obviously Christian. We went to church every Sunday. My mum always would have like Bible and prayer time in the mornings and stuff like that. But it just felt like, looking back now, and maybe it was just because as a kid you don't notice those things, you don't remember those things, like I don't know. Okay, let me put it this way. I feel like the kind of things that I did growing up as a kid, like kids be kids, but like, how did I do that stuff? Like, if I was a Christian, like nicking chocolate bars from the shops and trying weed when I was too young, which may be the first time my parents have ever heard that. So sorry. Stuff like that. And I'm like, if I was a Christian, which I was, how did I do that? And it's not in any way to say anything that my parents didn't do right. It's not. They've done a fantastic job of raising me and my sister. But it's this, like, we need to start off going like, but not in such a way that it's so overwhelming that it then puts people off as well. It's just, I don't know, man. It's freaking tough.
Yeah. It's a really tough one. I suppose part of it is because when you're young, you're not as wise, right? Of course. And so you were hanging out with people like me and Johnny and others that were maybe not, and probably, well, definitely, I would hope that we weren't the worst people you hung out with, but you get dragged into things a bit more. And that can still be an issue into your adult years, right? when I first became a Christian, I still was hanging out with people and drinking too much and things like that. And it was great for me to then move to a different city and start again in a more Christ-centered way. But yeah, as a teenager, you got much less chance. And yeah, man, I think that's the thing though. They did set you off on the way, and you never majorly strayed from it, in the sense that you always were a Christian as far as I can remember. You never questioned that part of it, right? And you've never turned from it, which is fantastic. So
yeah,
Proverbs.
exactly. It's no, I hear you on that one. It's the whole guard your heart with your feet and your hands and your eyes thing. Do the practical rather than just, oh, guard my heart, God, please.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got better at Christianing as you got older, same as most people.
Yeah, I learned from my own mistakes instead of other people's, but I guess most people do it that way, don't they?
Exactly. All right, 22, verse 23. For the Lord will take up the poor's case and will exact life for life. So I was talking about how money can't buy your reputation, and how money is not that important really to God at all. It's just a tool to exchange things, really, isn't it? And the fact that you've got the creator of the universe on your side, even if you are poor. So if, you or someone is in a tough financial time or whatever, just know that God has got you completely, and that the money isn't the important thing. The faith and, the fact you're saved forever is far more important than a few quid or dollars or whatever, rupees, pesos. I like the word rupee. Anyway, 22 verse 28, and then I'll shut up for a bit. Do not move an ancient boundary stone set up by your ancestors. There's so much wisdom in that. And I feel like that is something that you can think of as an individual level of like traditions and things within your own family, and maybe what your parents have taught you and stuff, and grandparents and so on. But also on a societal level, I feel like more and more people are starting to move ancient boundaries of what certain things mean, and what traditions, who does what in terms of certain traditions and so on like that. And we're pushing those boundaries and moving those stones. And I don't think that that's going to lead to happiness or good things in a lot of cases, sadly.
Yeah, it's such a difficult one, because some of those old boundary stones in a way need to be moved. Like when you think about Obama being the first black president way back then, that was never an option. But that's a boundary stone that needed to be moved, like equal rights, like those kind of things. Yes, but I think then we've gone so far in the way, I think that's where Jordan Peterson does such a fantastic job in the way he explains some of the things to do with like feminism and stuff like that. And it's just, where do we draw the line? Now what you're saying is so true, man. It's a very valid point. And I think it's something which, having spent a few years in Africa, they do it far better than we do, because they really hold a place of honor still for the elderly in their society. Whereas it seems like once you're not working anymore, you're pretty much no good to society, and you're cast to one side. Your knowledge is nothing. But
no, 100%, dude. And I suppose the only other like check or filter we could put it through is the boundary biblical? So obviously God never ever said don't allow black people to be in positions of power, right? That was a selfish human sort of error, effectively. So yeah, anyway, we're at 8:40, so we should probably leave it there. But you're absolutely right. A few in 23.
You're the first one on there. And just for the record, that is the boundary biblical. That's good.
The boundary biblical?
You just said, is the boundary biblical?
Oh, is the boundary biblical? That's good. Thank you. I appreciate that. Do not crave his delicacies, for that food is deceptive. So a lot of this is about money and earthly stuff, right? So, a good name is more important than riches. The Lord will take up the case of the poor. Also, don't crave the delicacies of the king, because that food is deceptive. So be careful what the world and the earth entices you with, because if you have a taste of something that you really like, you might do immoral things to gain the money or to gain that thing if you're not careful. But that isn't the important bit in this world. So again, a lot of this is to do with money and our relationship with money and wealth and goods and stuff.
True that, bro. And that actually feeds in perfectly with what I'm on the exact next verse, 23:4. Do not wear yourself out to get rich. Do not trust your own cleverness. And what I love on that is it's like, more than likely, I believe probably anyone who's actually able to listen to this is probably considered rich in global society. but it's a case of like, the more we want it, the more we chase it, the more we need it. And it's a case of then like, you're wearing yourself out to get rich, but what is rich? We're already rich. And it's kind of like chasing the wind, right? It's kind of how I wrote that, because you're just chasing something which isn't well, my brain works sometimes. It's not like a monetary value, basically.
Right.
That's going to come to me probably tonight, that word. But yeah, that's the kind of whole point, really. And it kind of reminded me, there's a great story, and it's one of those like little parable type things of a fisherman lying on a beach next to his boat in the afternoon, and a businessman's like, why are you lying next to your boat? He's like, well, I've already caught enough fish today. He's like, well, why don't you fish this afternoon? And he's like, well, I've caught enough fish today. And he's like, yeah, but you could do more. He's like, why would I do more? He's like, so you can catch more and earn more money. It's like, what would I do with more money? He's like, then you could buy a bigger boat. And it's like, why do I need a bigger boat? I've got enough. He's like, yeah, but then you could employ people to do it for you, and then you could, like, this whole thing to build into the point where he's like, why would I need to do that? So you can lie on the beach and not work. And he's like, what do you think I'm doing right now? Like, this whole thing leads through to be like, why do I need to focus so much on the okay, you talk for a little while, because that word's going to come to me.
Yeah, gotcha. But you are right. I think there's a balance with that to some extent, though, because the story that you told, it's you work enough to get what you need. Some people, if they could misinterpret that and say like, be lazy, you're not saying be lazy at all. Like, work sufficiently to feed yourself and your family and provide adequately, and don't chase after greed, basically.
Yeah.
Punish them with the rod and save them from death. Bit of a tone switch there. Proverbs 23 verse 14. So just this is again somewhat countercultural, but I think that it's good in some circumstances to have at least the threat of smacking your kids if they're being really disobedient and stuff, basically. And that might be something that I need to think about more now I'm married. So going into having kids and stuff. So
discussion to have before you hit that point, really, isn't it?
Absolutely. We've talked about this before, so just check out videos from earlier, really. I'm going to shut up now. That's it. I'm not going to do any more.
My last point was actually 23:12, which is apply your heart to instruction and your ears to words of knowledge. And then I added, and then like wealth will surely follow. If you're applying your heart to the instruction, your ears to knowledge, then actually the wealth that you're seeking will surely follow. And that's the whole don't wear yourself out trying to get rich. Focus on people and wisdom and knowledge, and then the wealth will surely follow. So yeah, beauty. Well, tomorrow's readings, I believe, are 24, 25, 26. So why don't you people get yourselves reading?
And check us out on social media at 2 Brits and aBible, and share this with someone touched by the word of God.